Get dunked on! Passion, power, determination. Go beyond the impossible and kick reason to the curb. No, we're not talking about Kamina from Gurren Lagann, but we are talking about everyone's favorite captain of the Royal Guard. Undyne has quite the explosive personality in Undertale. During the player's journey through the waterfall, she lobs spears about in hopes of capturing the last human soul that is needed to break the barrier and restore freedom to the underground. She is a character that many of us won't ever forget, especially after that cooking scene at her house. Hell's Kitchen aside, I always found something very peculiar about Undyne in general. Throughout the game, I always assumed something would be mentioned about her left eye. But honestly, no one ever brought it up. I could have definitely missed something, but I can't shake the feeling that there's something odd about it. We know that Undyne wears an eye patch, and while some people would argue that it is simply because it looks cool, you have the opposite crowd that would say she lost her eye, or that the eye patch is there to hide something. But which one is it? Starting off, let's assume she still has an eye. There isn't a lot of evidence supporting this, but I suppose that could be said about both sides of the topic. In several of the sprites used in-game, whether by mistake or on purpose, you are able to see Undyne's left eye. An example of this is when the cooking scene is taking place and she walks to the fridge. Of course, this could have just been the artist flipping the sprite and forgetting to add the eye patch in, but it's still worth noting. Another instance is when Alphys is role-playing on her date and she says that she looks gently into her eyes. Or when you mess with Undyne in her fight and it states that Undyne's eyes dart around to see if this is a joke. Both of these could have been errors on the writer's part, but there's always the possibility they are not. With as obsessed as Alphys is about Undyne, I imagine she would be careful with her dialogue and would take note of all Undyne's features. Because in her mind, one small slip-up could ruin her chances with Undyne. But for me, the real interesting part about this is if she doesn't have an eye. How did she lose it exactly? Or is the eye patch simply hiding something from the world? Undyne's fight during the genocide run sheds a little light on the topic for us, as we finally get a glimpse of something quite interesting. Undyne's eye is emitting what appears to be a bright light, or some kind of laser, or spear-shaped aura. To add to the weirdness, Undyne begins to melt as she slowly approaches death. This is very similar to the Amalgamates in the True Lab, whom were injected with determination. Is this simply because Undyne somehow has determination? And if so, did she get it naturally, or was she experimented on to become powerful enough to take on humans? Several instances of in-game text dance around the idea of determination and Undyne, and each one makes it seem more and more like it's a possibility. She is obviously determined, but being determined and having the power of determination could be two different things, even though that may sound silly. Another interesting note to add is that there is text that states that pollen is drifting around you when Undyne's health is really low. This could be taken two different ways, because it could mean that Flowey is lingering close by, or that this message is simply there to hint at Undyne's involvement with the determination experiments. If this determination wasn't gained naturally, and was indeed due to a lab experiment, possibly prior to Alphys, then is this shining left eye a side effect of this? We also shouldn't forget about another mysterious character that may share some kind of connection with Undyne. Our plump skeletal brother Sans shares another mysterious left eye that also shines with power. But are these two eyes related somehow? Or perhaps is this eye actually Undyne's left eye, and they were both part of some kind of experiment? Both eyes are drastically different, as the eye of Sans is focused, and Undyne's appears to be without any sense of stability. But we're getting a bit far-fetched at this point, and starting to wander over into Gasterland. Yet, I still feel the comparison was worth bringing up. There's always the possibility that Undyne lost her eye naturally in combat though, too. The only humans that are believed to have made it past the waterfall, where Undyne resides, are the green and yellow souls, since their items are found in the Hotland and the resort. This leaves us with a frying pan or a gun as the suspected weapons, and heavily leans us towards the gun. It's also believed that the green soul was very kind-hearted, and that the yellow soul was associated with being true and just. This can be determined by the ball game outside of Snowdon, as it reflects your playstyle with a colored flag that is believed to represent the human who had that color. In some capacity, it would make sense that the yellow soul would have shot Undyne in self-defense, due to his or her beliefs. After all, each character had their own respective justice. Undyne may have been pursuing the sixth human soul, and the yellow soul wanted nothing more than to return home. I think this puts an additional interesting twist on things, but I can't fully believe it because of Undyne's reactions in her fight. At one point in the neutral route battle, she states the following: "Alphys told me humans were determined." I see now what she meant by that. Saying that would only be appropriate if you have never actually encountered a human before. Also, if we take a look at the revolver we find in the game, it says that it's an antique, which would mean this is way before Frisk's time. It isn't clear how long ago the Yellow Soul human passed through the area, but a lot of people like to believe that Undyne is only 19 to 29 years old, based off her username on the Undernet. She was also trained by Asgore as a child, which is one of the reasons she respects him so much. Toriel and Asgore are both boss monsters, however, and can only age when their children grow. They are also the only two who show white monster souls upon their demise. Because their child is no longer alive, they do not age, and are in fact very, very old. This spreads the timeline super thin, and could possibly mean that the Yellow Soul came through many years before Undyne was even alive, which, in turn, would debunk this scenario completely. Because of all this, I personally don't believe her eye was shot out, but of course, I could be wrong. There's just so many possibilities about Undyne's eye that take us in completely different directions. And if you accept one way of thinking, then it can change a lot of other possibilities in the game by either debunking other theories or enabling them. Personally, I don't believe Undyne's eye was shot out, but I do believe she was able to manifest determination somehow. I feel that determination in Undertale is the glue that holds a lot of things together, from Frisk's heart refusing to shatter, to Undyne's dust being stuck together and melting before finally dispersing into particles. As for the specifics, I'm still pretty torn myself on how all of it was achieved. But now that I've explained the scenarios and my stance on them, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. So, what do you think? Does she actually have a left eye and simply hides it because it makes her look tough? Was her eye shot out? Does Sans somehow have it? And was Undyne experimented on in some capacity? Let me know in the comments below. I want to give a shout out to abitfrank over on Tumblr for helping me out once again with their artistic ability. If you like the thumbnail image of Undyne, be sure to check out their page on Tumblr for a lot of other cool illustrations. I've put a link to their Tumblr and DeviantArt in the description below. Thanks for tuning in to our eye-gouging discussion of Undertale. If you'd like to join us on our YouTube voyage and help us figure out the mysteries of the underground, then the subscribe button is just what you're looking for. Thanks for watching, guys and gals, and until our next video, cheers. You've made it to the end of the video, but wait, your quest isn't over yet. There's plenty of Undertale mysteries we still have yet to figure out. For instance, does Frisk die after a neutral ending? And what is up with that Gaster fellow? There's also a few other Undertale videos on my channel, alongside of a lot of other gaming videos, so maybe you'll find something you will like. Regardless, I hope you enjoy. This is very similar to the amalgamates. Amalgamates. Amalgamates.